What's up, YouTube? It's Joe Cattapalia sitting on the couch, making some money investing in fractional real estate online, as usual. I've got a pretty interesting opportunity today, or I don't actually think it's a new platform that this company actually reached out to me through Twitter. My guess is they're just DMing everybody that posts anything related to real estate or fractional real estate investing, but I don't know. They sent me the link to their site and a little bit of info. Mm. It's a company that is allowing you to invest in small pieces of hotel and resort properties. Um, I think that overall the concept's interesting. It's very similar to a lot of the platforms that we looked at, but for a number of reasons, I'm skeptical, and I want to just kind of walk you through what they've got going on. But first of all, if you are relatively new, you might not have much idea about my background. And I spent some time very early on working for a company where we financed hotel and resort development and investment. And so I have a decent amount of experience in this area, but it is pretty old, almost 20 years ago. It was one of my first jobs when I got involved in real estate. It was right around the time when condotels were just really popular, and those were, it was a hotel where they sold the individual hotel rooms off as condos. Investors would buy those individually. That you'd own one room, but then you'd put them into the rental pool, and it would be operated just like it was a hotel. This was, sort of an earlier version of fractional real estate, right? Like you'd owned your own unit um, instead of owning just a piece of the whole thing, and it is I say that, but the ticks are already out there, and so were syndications, but it was just another way to try to cut these up, make them attractive for individual owners. And really, the main thing and the reason I bring that up is because it was a way to attract what, a lot of people in the industry would just refer to as dumb money, right? Like you just are looking for the doctor or lawyer or dentist who just has a lot of money, doesn't have a whole lot of business experience, says, "Oh, I really liked that hotel. Oh, I can buy one of the rooms and then I can get paid putting that room in the rental pool, and maybe I'm getting some tax benefits." And so they might not be, in theory, they're fantastic. I would love the ability to get a piece of some of the right properties. But in practice, what I saw is they're typically sold for significant premium over, what you would expect to pay if you were actually buying the whole thing. And sometimes, that's to be expected, right? You're not going to buy, there's going to be some premium, but it shouldn't be so large as to make it a poor investment. And that's what I saw a lot of times with those. Now, I'm not going to extrapolate that experience directly into this platform. I think there's a possibility that they'll put deals on here that will make sense. It appears to me that they are really just setting up the platform and that they're allowing developers to bring their properties to the site to sell on there and operating partners. Um, this is my first take on this. I've only been looking at it for a couple of days. I messaged with them to ask some questions, but nobody has responded to me yet. But let me tell you a little bit about the platform because I think there is potential. I think it's going to be all based on how the individual deals are structured because um, they provide a whole bunch of information. How tokenization works. I think we've pretty much it's very similar to many of the others where there's it's they're using a blockchain and there's a smart contract, and I don't you can read through all of this and find that all out. I just want to dig into some of the things that maybe just the business points of the deals that I think are what make me a little skeptical about this. So, first of all, they give you the benefits of investing. Okay, you're getting a digital stake in a real world asset. It's completely passive, which I think is true, and one of the reasons I like a lot of these platforms. You're earning both rental profits and capital gains. and you have, no management, it's efficient. All the reasons that I'm really attracted to these platforms, right? And also, they don't even mention it, but you get some diversification. You can spread your money off across way more deals by doing this. But that doesn't make them. That's just sort of the model in general. That doesn't make them special when compared to any of the other platforms that we're already looking at, like Lofty, Arc 7, Arrived Homes, all of those. What makes this one kind of interesting is it's specifically geared towards resorts and hotels. Um, it's a type, it's a part of the industry that makes, very high returns, but it's also a high risk, right? I mean, your hotel, um, you're really subject to the booms and busts of the economy more than a lot of other types of real estate. But so because of that, there's a lot of money to be made, but there's also plenty to be lost. And so then they talk about their economic model. You're getting a share of the rental income. Now, if they tell you here, if you own 10% of the tokens, you get 10% of the net rental income. And then you get, capital gains when it's sold. Although the way they describe this is a little bit odd because they're like, well, we're doing an appraisal every year. It's not really clear why you would want to do that, other than maybe just if you're trying to keep track of your value. Um, but this is where it gets kind of interesting. So remember, if you own 10% of the tokens, meaning you put up 10% of the money needed for the project, you get 10% of the net rental income. But the way that they're defining that, so first you've got your gross revenue, they're taking out booking fees. So I guess a lot of these are using their resorts, but they seem to be counting on Airbnb, Bookings.com, that sort of thing. They have their net revenue. They take out just a 5% maintenance expense, which is the only expense that they take out. Um, as far as operating expenses. And so they go, okay, here's your net revenue after maintenance, and then okay, profit split between investor and operator. And so this is what I think is really interesting. So they're saying 50-50 split, although elsewhere what I read is that this could be structured different in different deals. And so the investors, that's everybody who puts, who buys tokens. And so the operator is getting 50% of that cash flow before, and so what you're really getting is 10% of this 50%, I believe, if I'm understanding it correctly. And so, but out of the operator share is where all of the operational expenses come from. So it's really tough without seeing financials for particular deals to know, like, is this actually a good deal or not, right? Like, how much is that operator actually making? And part of it is it depends on what their expenses are, how well they're able to control them relative to the total income. But it is definitely a little bit, I don't want to say deceptive. When they say, oh, if you own 10% of the tokens, you get 10% of the net rental income, it sounds like, you don't expect this. Oh, well, that's after 50% is given to the operator. But, that 50%, maybe most of that actually is actually eaten up in operational expenses. I don't know. Um, And so then, yeah, this is your investor share, right? 50% of that. And so then that's what you would get that 10% of. And then they're, saying, okay, your taxes, net profit after taxes. And then they take another 20% management fee off of that. It's not really clear to me so I don't know what this 15% taxes, what those are. I actually thought, oh, it's depending on the resort's location. So it's actually, yeah, that's right. It's actually like the tax that's paid. This has nothing to do with your income taxes, right? I forgot. I read this a couple days ago. But so that's actually, coming off the top. This isn't income taxes. This is, before it gets paid out to you. Then you pay a management fee, and then okay, this is what's really distributed. And so this is what you're actually going to get 10% of if you've put up 10% of the total investment. And even despite that, it's possible, like, the numbers they're using here, okay, you'd still get an 11% ROI. Um, I'm not sure I'm really excited about that on this type of an investment, for if I'm, buying a resort. Uh, like I said, I mean, it's more cyclical, it's riskier. I think if I'm comparing this to if I can get that same return with some of the single family or multifamily home investments that we looked at, I'm not sure why I would choose this over that, right? Like if I'm going to be buying into a riskier asset type, I want to be paid something for that. Let me give you, well, let me dig into that a little deeper. One of the things are like, well, yeah, on top of this, um, you get these ownership perks where depending on how many tokens you are, you might get a discounted stay. You might get, 7 days free every year for life. I'm a little torn about this. This is along the lines of, where I think that they are trying to attract, like I said, maybe some of the dumb money, right? Like, okay, maybe you are actually going to use this and you're going to get value from it and it's worth it to you. But this is one of the things that I just saw, really push when people tried to sell condo tels to people. And when they were like, oh, no, no, you can use it whenever it's not being used. And if it was, if it was going to be vacant anyway, well, that's a free use. That's not what's going on here exactly. But any of these free stays, they're not free because that's time that you are not, you don't have a full paying guest in that space, and so it's hurting your economics. Now, there's going to be some limitations on when you can use it and whatnot. Um, and I would hope so, right? Like I hope you're not be able to go and do this during peak time or anything. Um, and it's not super clear. And maybe if I dug into this more, it would be. But even regardless of how they limit it, you just don't. I think that if I'd rather have an investment that's paying me more money, and then if I want to go on vacation, I'm going to just use that money elsewhere, right? I mean, I don't know. This just seems like a very strange to try to lump that into the benefits of it, because it is, it's necessarily going to hurt your bottom line of the investment itself if you've got not you're not the only one doing this, anybody else that owns 100 tokens or more, um is going to be able to get in there at a discounted rate, and so that seems very strange to me. um it's not something that if I'm going to buy it as an investment, I want it to operate as a pure investment, not some strange hybrid where I'm trying to take advantage of getting a discounted vacation. But so one of the things, I had to put in a bunch of my info into this, to get some to get to the point where I could actually try to buy something, and then even then I have to put more info in, and then they said someone's going to contact me through WhatsApp. I know in some parts of the world that's just a perfectly normal thing to do is use WhatsApp, but as someone living in San Antonio, Texas, it is not how we normally communicate with clients or people, or so I realized that that might be my bias, but it I already was a little untrusting of this platform. The fact that I can't just go through and purchase on here seems a little bit odd to me. I never like when I have to talk to a person before I buy something. If they have to give you a hard sell, it means that it's probably not a great deal, right? I mean, so that's again, something that for me weighs against this. But then when I started to look at this, so this is the one that was one that's actually available for pre-sale. I believe it's the only one at the moment. And so, um, that so it is several, and what I think is happening when I read this, and I could certainly be wrong about it, is that it's already a resort and it's several of the units, but it's not the whole resort that they're putting into this. And so now I think that what you're getting is a fraction of a piece, right? And so then we've talked about on here before, I'm always a little bit wary when the same operator is operating multiple properties together, but they have different, financial incentives with different parts of it. So, for example, if they sold off most of the interest in this, but they own some units right next door that they own 100%, I think there's room for some favoritism with those assets to go on. Uh, Again, though I'm not sure that's what's happening here, but that's what it appears to be going on. Sorry about that. My screen recorder just paused for a second. But so it looks like you're not really buying a fraction of the whole thing. Like I said, you're getting a fraction of these units. But then when you really start to dig into, let's say I'm okay with that, which, I'm trying to really give it the benefit of the doubt at the moment because, like I said, it's a brand new platform for me. I'm just looking at it, trying to figure out what's going on. Haven't gotten answers to the questions I've asked yet. So it's possible that some of the things I'm just misunderstanding. But at least my initial impressions are this is, you know, it's going to be tough to convince me that this is going to be a good deal, but we'll see. But so, okay, the thing that really jumped out at me from this one, though, ooh, what's going on here, is that they do it in their financials, and this site I have a hard time getting it to stay up for me. So, investigate. Ah, did I lose it? Let me just check. So this is one that I had to actually like sign in to get into this, and I think, oh, am I gonna have to do it again? Um, I think I'm gonna have to do it again. I don't want to do that while we're on here. Oh, no, no, this is the investment white paper that I can just download it again. So before you can get to this screen, though, you have to put in, not a ton of information, but enough that they're going to be able to contact you and have some idea about, what your goals are with investing and everything like that. Basically, the questions that a salesperson is going to ask you, so they can have some talking points to try to get you to buy it. But so let's see. You got I just want to get down to the financials again. Sorry, I had this up and I don't know. I guess I just closed it before we got to this. The thing that, so, well, a couple of things. So they're like, okay, this is our total cost, right? They broke it down to these are the units that you're getting, threw in some administrative costs, their total admin costs, the platform listing, and magically we got to exactly this round figure. So obviously they're messing with this a little bit to get there. When one of the things when you do click through to buy it, it tells you to lock your deal. You just have to pay the 5% buyer's premium. So I think on top of everything else that they're doing, you're paying that 20% fee. You're splitting the deal with the operator. It looks like you're also paying 5% on top of whatever your investment is to get into this. Um, Residential property. Oh, but this is the thing that really worried me about this, right? They're saying like, okay, property maintenance, we're charging $60 per square foot per month for property maintenance. And remember, in the model, let's go back to this model. Let's see, economic model here. Nope. So they're saying up here that property maintenance expenses are coming out, above the line. Now here they're saying, oh, it's just 5%. But like if you look at here, right, if we're doing $60 per square foot per month, um, even if your units are like the size of a hotel room, that's $6,000 a month per unit. I mean, that's just an absurd amount of money. So this is one of the questions I sent them. I was like, is this accurate? Or you're at? My guess is there's something wrong here because I can't imagine spending $60 per square foot per month to maintain the property. $6,000 for a 100 square foot unit, but if they're like tiny like a hotel room, but if they're I mean, if they're bigger, you're talking about like $60,000 a month if you've got 1,000 square feet. Which between all of these, maybe you do. I don't know. Um, Maybe you have more. Maybe you have a couple thousand square feet, and then you're talking. I mean, just an absurd amount of money. So hopefully this is a typo. But like I said, they didn't get back to me about that. But they're showing it above the line, right? So this is actually coming out before they're doing the split. This is doing the 50/50 split with the operator and the token holder. There is this 15% tax that's being paid out, and then again the 20% asset management. So I mean, to me, it looks super tough. Like, okay, and if everything goes well, let's see. I mean, this is one of them that if everything goes well, you're getting, what are they saying? You're going to get distributed revenue. So Around 300,000 on what is the total gross rental income? Oh no, that's your total gross rental income. Million. What is happening here? Sorry, I don't mean to be all over the place on this. When I lost my tab with it, I actually had way too many opened, and I was hoping to jump to each page. But okay, but so here, property maintenance. Okay, this is super interesting. This I had missed this before. So either these units are way tinier than I think, because this is annual now that we're looking at. Um, it just can't be $60, or maybe it's $60 annually, but up here, did I read that wrong? Well, let's take a look. No, $60 per square foot per month. But then these numbers are annual numbers, I think. So that, if that's the case, it starts to make a lot more sense, right? If okay, if they're actually just saying, okay, it's 30,000 based on this gross rental, I'm okay with that. And so, if you're really making 300,000 net, 300 on the total, that's the 1.6 million. Oh, what are we doing here? Oh yeah. Wow, guys are getting just the worst version of my brain today, and I'm sorry about that. Okay, 300,000. Zero. Yeah, so that looks like that's an 18.75% return. A little bit worse if we are paying that premium, right? The 5% premium. But that looks like that'd be a much better return than what they talked about with the 11. Um, once we're getting, okay, let's actually do it with the premium too. So let's see, 106. Okay, yeah, it doesn't even add that much. To do the little 1 over x here. Yeah, so it's still very close to 18% total return. Um, that's a lot closer to the type of return that I want to see if I'm making a deal like this, right? Where I have no control. I'm investing in an asset that, obviously I'd have to look at this market a lot more closely. Look at the what I'm actually getting. Um, because when you look at the pictures, like, well, okay, there's a lot more property there than than what's described as what we're buying. And so, I'd have to really dig into this to figure out if that's a good deal. And maybe once they get back to me, well, I am going to try to, dig into this further and hopefully give you some more info. Um, I started off a little too negative, I think. I think I had missed that they had corrected that, or they have it right in one spot, wrong in the other. There's just no way it's $60 per square foot per month. I mean, I wish I could find the full square footage of what we're getting, right? Because, like, let's look at this. So, 29,580 divided by 60. Yeah, that's only 493. Like, that's not, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, right? Like, yeah, like, we don't only have 493 square feet when you're looking at all those things together. Some of them are 2 and 3 bedroom units. And you're certainly not doing that every month, right? Because I mean, this would be if you were just dividing it. This would be the square foot, and then you divide that by 12, and that would just make no sense at all. So they've got something weird going on, and I don't really know what it is. Um, but between that, we would really have to understand who this operator is, what the expenses are, because you could say, okay, great, the expenses are coming out of the operator's 50%, but if they don't make enough money, oh, excuse me, if they're not actually bringing in enough money to cover that, well, that's a problem too, right? So, I mean, there's a lot more I'd want to dig into this. I do feel a little bit better and kind of stupid for starting off, having missed that before I start, hit record. But this is what I'm doing on these videos, right? I'm doing this in real time. I've been I spend a little bit of time doing some due diligence and then just trying to share what I figured out. And so sometimes this happens, right? While I'm talking about it and looking at things, I'm going to figure out something new. If any of you are already invested on this platform, I'd love to hear how it's going. If you've already just done a call with any of the people, I put my info in a few days ago. Nobody's even reached out to me yet. Of course, we have had some holidays, but I expect just based on the info I had to give them and whatnot, I expect to have um, like a real sales call. Is what I think they're going to do. Is be like, hey, how come you haven't invested yet? You said you have capital and that your timing, and because they asked about the timing, why I might want to invest when, um, my goal and whatnot, all that sort of thing. Um, so I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think there's the possibility that there will be good deals that come up on here. This one, I'd need a lot more information than what I have in order to pull the trigger on this one. And maybe as I get further along in the sales process, they'll give me more. I don't really like that model. I'd like to be, like on Lofty or Mogul or Ground Floor, the three that I've put, some money onto already. All of those platforms, you can get basically all the info that they have or that they're going to share with you, right up front before I make a decision to buy or sell. There's not like these little gates or hurdles to get the next piece of info. I really don't like that at all. Uh, I don't know. I mean, it is just, they're trying to get get some buy-in, get you moving forward in the process and whatnot. And I get it. I mean, I have worked in sales jobs before, but it is just not at all how I want to be sold an investment, right? Like I'd like them to just actually present the deal and let me decide. Um, that's the benefit of some of the other platforms. Maybe it'll turn out to be the case on this. In any case, that's all I really wanted to share with you about this one. If you haven't already, I'd really appreciate if you like and subscribe. I do have links in the description below for any of the property or any of the sites that I mentioned that I am already invested on. Um, Sorry about that. It froze one more time. Really just need a new laptop is what I finally decided. Could be the screen recorder, could be the laptop or my internet or all three. I'm going to get that worked out. So sorry about that. But yeah, like I said, links in the description below for the sites that I've already invested on. I haven't put a link down there for this one, but you can see it's right here, ownoasis.io. I get to this pre-sales one after putting some info in. I'm not sure if you're going to actually be able to open this or not. But it is, like I said, I mean, I think it's just one that you're going to want to do some more due diligence on. I'll give you the info as it comes up. Until next time, I'm going to keep making mistakes so that you don't have to.